Hi scholars, today we have domain number 11, lesson 4, the Louisiana Purchase. So we finally are going to have the conclusion to our story from yesterday, and we'll find out, was James Monroe successful in purchasing the city of New Orleans from France? So we'll have to see if Napoleon sold it to him. Also, something extra exciting happens in this story. So make sure that you watch the whole entire thing and you listen closely. Our exit ticket today is going to be a little bit difficult, so you really need to be paying attention to the whole story so that you will be able to do it. Alright, I'm so excited for you to hear the conclusion of the story and find out about this really awesome and super exciting part of American history. Okay, scholars, Louisiana Purchase, Domain 11, Lesson 4. Our first vocab word is the word purchase. Purchase means to buy. This man is purchasing Girl Scout cookies. He is buying them. He is giving money in exchange for a good. The good would be the cookies. Territory. Territory is an area of land controlled by a specific country or government. If we look at this map, which was from our read aloud yesterday, we can see the orange area is the territory that the United States had during the time of our story. The green area is the territory that belonged to France during this time. So again, territory is an area of land controlled by a specific country or government. Okay, where are we? I would like you to repeat the directions on this compass rose with me. We're going to start at N. N is for north. Thank you. Let's go to E. E is for east. Let's go to S. S is for south. And W. W is for west. We can use a mnemonic device, which is just a remembering device to help us remember this. And we could say never eat soggy waffles. North, east, south, west. All right, if we look at this map, we can see during the time when Thomas Jefferson was president, the United States was the land east of the Mississippi River. So all of that orange area was U.S. land. The mouth of the Mississippi River, which if you'd like to go ahead and point to it, that would be great, is down by the city of New Orleans, which again is the yellow circle with the red in the middle. And the mouth is where the Mississippi River feeds into the Atlantic Ocean. So where a small body of water goes into a big body of water. Then we have the Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are that mountain range in the orange area, so in the United States territory. The Appalachian Mountains are what Daniel Boone had to cross through in order to go west. They were a barrier for him. And then he created the Cumberland Gap and the Wilderness Road, and that allowed other settlers to go west. All right, what have we already learned? This is your exit ticket from yesterday. You were supposed to color the land that the United States currently had during our story green. So you can see I colored all of the land on the right side of the Mississippi River green. Then you needed to trace the Mississippi River in black. So you can see that black squiggly line is the Mississippi River. Then we were supposed to circle where the Mississippi River feeds into the Atlantic Ocean. So at the bottom of that river, I have my circle. And then you need to color the Rocky Mountains brown, and you can see that I have done that. Okay, vocab review. Repeat after me. Barrier. Something that blocks movement from one place to another. Okay, pioneers. The first people to live in a new place. Mouth. The place where a river empties into the ocean or a larger body of water. All right, now, New Orleans and the area west of the Mississippi River were not part of the United States at the time of our read aloud, so we discussed that. They were part of France. Why did President Jefferson want to buy New Orleans from Napoleon and France? Okay, he wanted to buy New Orleans because it was at the mouth of the Mississippi River, and he was worried that if Napoleon became angry with the United States, that Napoleon would stop ships from being able to get into the Mississippi River from the Atlantic Ocean, and then that would stop the United States from being able to travel up and down that river to transport goods. Why was the Mississippi River so important? Yes, just like I stated, it was so important because it allowed the United States to be able to travel up and down that river and also get into the Atlantic Ocean and receive goods from the Atlantic Ocean. So without having control of that river, we were basically at France's mercy. So we needed them to be nice to us to allow us to use it. It's sort of like how at school we use the middle school bathroom, so we need the middle school to be nice to us to allow us to use their bathroom. That's how this was. We needed France to be nice to us so that we could use their river. Okay? And then who did Thomas Jefferson decide to send to France to talk with Napoleon about buying New Orleans? Yes, perfect. He sent his friend James Monroe. Essential background information. How did the Pilgrims and the other English settlers who first came to North America travel here? They would take ships from England to the United States. The journey on the Mayflower took a long time, and the Pilgrims were very happy when they finally reached land. The setting of today's read aloud, or where it takes place, is France, where James Monroe traveled in order to talk to Napoleon. In order for James Monroe to travel from the United States to France, he had to travel by boat, which could take a few weeks or even a month. So again, remember during this time, we didn't have roads like we do now. We definitely did not have cars. So we didn't have airplanes. So to get over an ocean or to get from one area of a country to another, people would oftentimes take a boat, but it would take a very long time. If we look at this map, we can see the white arrow is pointing to the United Kingdom, which is where England is. England is where the Pilgrims came from, and they had to sail all the way over to where the black arrow is. So they would sail through the ocean. If you look at the purple arrow, that is France. France is the country that owns New Orleans, which is the land to the west of the Mississippi River in the United States. Our read aloud again is lesson 4, and it is the Louisiana Purchase. James Monroe sat at a desk in his hotel room in France. Monroe had been sent to France by the President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. Remember, France owned the city of New Orleans, which was near the place where the mighty Mississippi River flowed into the sea. What is the area called where it empties into the ocean or the sea, if it is a river? Good, mouth. Whoever controlled New Orleans decided which ships passed up and down the river. The land on the east side of the river was owned by the United States. The land on the west side of the river was owned by France. I apologize for that noise, scholars. Okay, so remember, France was owned by the city of New Orleans, which was near the place where the mighty Mississippi River flowed into the sea. Whoever controlled New Orleans decided which ships passed up and down the river. The land on the east side of the river was owned by the United States. The land on the west side of the river was owned by France. President Jefferson had told James Monroe, "I want to go to France and offer to purchase or buy the city of New Orleans from Napoleon. Napoleon needs money to buy supplies." Remember, France was in a war over in Europe, which is the continent that England and France are located on. We are on the continent of North America. So he needed money to fund that war, to supply goods for that war. So Thomas Jefferson said, well, I'll give him some money and he can give us the city, and then he gets money for supplies and we get the city and everyone is happy. All right. James Monroe met with Napoleon in the French Emperor's Palace in Paris, France. This palace was very different from the house in which President Thomas Jefferson lived in Washington, D.C. Now, as James Monroe looked back on his meetings with both President Jefferson and the French Emperor Napoleon, Monroe thought, President Jefferson's home is certainly different from Napoleon's home. Napoleon lives in a grand palace with fine wooden floors, half covered in thick carpets. The walls are bright with expensive wallpapers, and the furniture probably cost a lot of money. When Napoleon is dressed in the fanciest clothes and sits on a throne, he talks and everybody else listens because they are afraid of his power, and because they all hope that he will do favors for them. Remember, Napoleon was an emperor and he had powers just like a king. Here is Thomas Jefferson again. But there are no thrones for Thomas Jefferson, and there are no royal uniforms to make him look special. Sometimes visitors to the presidential mansion or a large house don't even recognize President Jefferson. They think that he is one of the servants until they are introduced to him. When he starts to speak, however, everyone listens, but not because they are afraid of him. They listen because he is a brilliant man with wonderful ideas. So that means James Monroe thinks that President Jefferson is very smart. He doesn't need thrones or royal robes in order for people to realize that he is a great man. Okay, again, here we have Napoleon. Notice the difference in his portrait and Thomas Jefferson's. Well, James Monroe thought, I suppose I should be fair. Napoleon may not be my sort of person, but he is very clever once you are talking seriously with him, and he is about to do a great favor for the United States. Clever means very smart and able to do things quickly. If we look at this picture, we can see Napoleon is the one who's on the throne, so he has his fancy red robe on. And then we can see that James Monroe is the man on the left side with the brown hair and the blue jacket. Monroe remembered his last meeting with Napoleon, during which Napoleon had told Monroe, I have thought over your president's offer to buy the city of New Orleans. I have decided that selling New Orleans to the United States of America will not bring me as much money as I need. Okay, again, this is our map of the early United States. Instead, I will sell you New Orleans and all of the lands owned by France between the Mississippi River and the Rocky Mountains, which is called the Louisiana Territory. So instead of just getting that little city of New Orleans, which is that yellow and red dot, Napoleon is going to sell all of that green land to the United States. So then that would mean that we would have all of that land for our country. We will sell this land to you at a fair price. Hearing this, Monroe realized with a shock, that is as much land as there already is in the entire United States of America. Overnight, he could have a nation as big as it is right now. So in our story, currently, the United States has half of the country that's settled, and France has the other half of the country that is settled. But Napoleon is willing to sell all of France's land to the United States. So it would double the size of the US. All right, let's go ahead. Somehow Monroe had to keep himself calm enough to answer Napoleon. Your Majesty, this is indeed a marvelous opportunity. I cannot accept your offer, however, until I present it to President Jefferson and I receive his answer. I will write to him at once. In Monroe's time, there was no phone or email, so Monroe had to write a letter to Jefferson. And here, the word letter means a written message to someone. Just like when we wrote letters to Jerry the geologist and Pam the paleontologist. The letter would have to travel over the ocean in the same kind of ship that Monroe had traveled on when he first came to France. It could take a few weeks for Jefferson to get Monroe's letter, and then even longer for Monroe to get Jefferson's answer. Okay, and here we can see Monroe writing his letter. Now, sitting in his hotel room and remembering all of this, James Monroe picked up his pen. I need to finish my letter to President Jefferson, he thought, and then I can send it to him by the first ship sailing across the ocean to the United States. When he reads it, the president is going to be very surprised. Why do you think that James Monroe thinks the president will be very surprised by this? That's right, because instead of just getting to buy New Orleans, they now have a chance to buy all of the other land. So they have all of Louisiana territory. Just as Monroe had expected, Thomas Jefferson was amazed when he read the letter. Jefferson thought, this is even better than I could have imagined. Not only will we be buying the city of New Orleans, but also the entire Louisiana territory. The United States will double in size. I will write back to James Monroe at once telling him to purchase the Louisiana territory for the United States. The timing could not be better. And then President Jefferson picked up his pen and he began writing a letter to instruct Monroe to seal the bargain with France, a bargain that would double the size of the United States of America. Seal the bargain means that Jefferson wanted Monroe to accept Napoleon's offer and to buy the Louisiana territory. And when the United States bought the Louisiana territory from France, it was called the Louisiana Purchase. Purchase means to buy. So when we purchased the Louisiana territory, that act of buying it is called the Louisiana Purchase. Comprehension questions. Number 1. Who did James Monroe meet in France in order to discuss the purchase of New Orleans? Yes, it was Napoleon. Number 2. Was James Monroe able to buy the city of New Orleans from Napoleon? Yes. Number 3. What else did Napoleon sell to the United States? You're right. He also sold the Louisiana Territory, which was all of the land that France owned. Number 4. What was the Louisiana Purchase? Okay, the Louisiana Purchase was the land called the Louisiana Territory that the United States bought from France. We have question 5. Was the Louisiana Territory a lot of land or a little land? Yes, it was a lot of land. It was as much land as the United States already had, so buying it would double the size of the country. Number 6, how do you know it was a lot of land? Right, like we just said, it would double the size of the United States at that time. And number 7, why was the Louisiana Purchase significant for the United States? So why was it important? Why was it a big deal? Right, it did. It doubled the land, and also it allowed more land for settlers then to move to and explore, and it gave the United States control of the land to the west of the Mississippi River, and in addition to the land east of it. And then that meant that we had complete control then of the Mississippi River. All right, we have a word work for the word purchase right now. In our read aloud, we heard Thomas Jefferson say, I want you to go to France and offer to purchase the city of New Orleans from Napoleon. Say the word purchase with me. Ready? Purchase. Try it again. Purchase. When you purchase something, you buy it. Jeremy went to the grocery store to purchase milk for his cereal. What kinds of things would you purchase at the grocery store? Try to use the word purchase when you talk about it. If we were in school, I'd ask 2 or 3 of you to do it. We'd probably do a turn and talk. So what's something that you would purchase? I think I would purchase that too. Number 6, what's the word we've been talking about? Purchase. All right, this is our exit ticket. And we need to sequence the events. So on the left sheet, which says D11L4, you have a series of events that happened during the Louisiana Purchase. I would like you to put them in the right order. Your choices are America buys the land and doubles in size. France controlled the Mississippi River because they owned New Orleans. James Monroe met with Napoleon Bonaparte to see if he would sell New Orleans. President Thomas Jefferson sends James Monroe to France, and Napoleon offers to sell him all of France's land west of the Mississippi River. So out of those choices, I would like you to find which one comes first. You would put it in 1. Which of those events came second? Put it in 2. All the way until number 5. So again, number 1 should be the very first event that happened, and number 5 should be the last event that happened. And that is all I have for you today. I will see you tomorrow.